Right, so the next function we're going to add is our update user one. So again, very similar. Hopefully you're going to start seeing the pattern now. Instead of I go function update user, pass that in through there, and I want to have an ID in there, a username and a password. And really what we are doing here is we want the ID in there because we only want to we want to only update the user that we have specifically selected. And the things that we can change is the username and password. So let's go and set that up. So DB connections, and over here, then we have our SQL query, which is update table users. And then we're going to set this value, okay? So we want to set UN equals our parameter user, and PW equals our parameter pass, where ID equals our parameter ID. And that is our update query that we are after. So the next thing that we then do is we're going to go and pass in our parameters, which is an array. And that array is going to take in user with an arrow $U. Oh, wait. There we go. And pass, which is a $password. And then we go SDMT, where we are selecting our database query, where we can prepare our statement. It's exactly the same as all of our other variables that we have. And then we go STMT, and we execute our query. Execute, and we pass in our parameters. I've typed this in many times, but it's still too fast. And then just like the insert statement over here, we've got our count. Okay, so again, we're not getting data back, but we just are able to see how many rows are affected by the action that we have taken. So because we're asking for an ID is unique, so it's always going to be 1. So if we go count, count should be 1, and then what we do is I'm just going to go and copy this over here, because when I've updated a user, I want to check that I can actually log in with my changes. So therefore it's going to destroy my session, and it's going to bring me back to the login page. And that's pretty much what I have over here. So let's go and do that. In my admin page that I have over here is I've got my name here, update. So it's set update. So at the top, I'm going to go and check all these values. So else if, and is set. This time I'll try not to forget it. And post over here. And the next thing that I want to do is I'm going to pass in all of my updates that I've got over here. So the first update I'm going to pass in is my ID variable. So I'm checking if that is empty, and if that is not empty, that's great. Now, how do we get our ID? That is something I'm about to show you afterwards. So ID goes like this. Then we've got our username and our password, which I'm just going to steal from my previous function. And I've got a password too, because we're going to confirm that this password is in fact the same. Then what I want to do over here is pretty much have my if statement, and I'm going to check if my ID equals true, and if my user equals true, and if my password and my pass2 value is true. And if they are true, then I want to check if my $pass post pass, and if my $post pass2 are of equal values are 3 equals. And once if they are the same, then I want to go and call my update function. So I've got update user, and I need to pass in my ID, update post ID, and I need to go update post, square brackets, and go and type in user, and I only need to pass in one password because we've already established that both passwords are the same at this point. Alright, so here we go. Pass. And, oh no, sorry, hold on, it's not a function. There we go. And go from there. So here, username, password, 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 square bracket. Go through there. I think that's it. Yes. So our 3 parameters, which is ID, user, and password. So let me go and check, just tidy this up a little bit so we can have more stuff on our screen. And that should be it. So now if I refresh my page, I should be able to change John into John2, and if I hit update user, it should bring me back to that, which it's not doing. And I'm trying to figure out why that is. Those are the same. And then these ones here. So this is really the reason why we should have also here. But I'm just going to see if I can just check this out here. So that's that. Oh, right, yes, in my way, I haven't got my ID. So that should come back and go back. And refresh this, jump to update user. Oh, that's quiet. That's something else causing an issue. Okay, so let me just check this. If it counts, tell me what is wrong. This here, no, it's going to be wrong. Okay, refresh. That is wrong. Oh, wait, no. Oh, UID, right. So over here in my name, I've got a UID, and so I need to call this here UID. So I'll probably have to go and log in again. John2, update user, and then I've got undefined index. Wow, the party's not stopping today. Over here. Does that work? Please. Okay, cool. Looks like it works. So John2. Okay, John 1, 2, 3, 4, and I can log in and my username has changed to John. So yeah, little details. UID, very important because that's what I named it into my page. Now, let's go back to this index.admin page because here I've got an input field and it's hidden. Okay, so technically there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 inputs, okay, on there. We see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 buttons. One of them is hidden, which carries the ID. Our value over here, it pre-populates that hidden field with echo data and the ID attribute, and that comes in from the top over here. So over here, when we log in, remember we do the select statement and then we pass in this JSON string into our session data. Well, over here, the session data is being called and passed into my JSON variable, and then instead of calling JSON encode, I'm calling JSON decode. And so I'm passing in this JSON string, and I just have this variable here called true, or this boolean here, and that all processes the JSON data to create it into an array. So this data over here is now an array, and I can access that by doing things like data and accessing the first item in the first set of the array, which should only really be one, and then passing in the properties that I want. So here I've got ID. Here I've got UN, so I've got my username, PW, and PW because I want that password to be the same to begin with. Okay. So that's it. In the next video and the last video, we are going to delete a user, and then everything should be all a complete cycle.